I want to Lydia pull up this graphic.
Yeah.
This is an image that we've seen before on the show, and we debated whether or not it was true and correct, but it's the 10 stages of genocide. Now, the first thing is that this graphic we have is an oversimplification of the actual 10 stages of genocide that was initially written. I think it was written by a historian or academic, talking about what we see through various authoritarian dictatorships. But let me just read some for you. They said the first stage is classification. People are divided into us and them. Stage 2 is symbolization. People are forced to identify themselves. 3, discrimination. People begin to face systematic discrimination. 4 is dehumanization. People equated with animals, vermin, or diseases. 5 is organization. The government creates specific groups, police and military, to enforce the policies. 6 is polarization. The government broadcasts propaganda to turn the populace against the group. 7 is preparation. Official action to remove and relocate people. 8 is persecution, the beginning of murders, theft of property, trial massacres. 9 is extermination, wholesale elimination of the group. And 10 is denial. The government denies that it committed any crime. Now, I don't think that this is a linear path. You know, I think it's just several things you see in genocide or dictatorship. So I'll just very quickly say, well, the last time we talked about this, we got to number 2, people are forced to identify themselves. And it's like, where are people being forced to identify themselves?
Yeah.
Now in Australia,
political gender, pronouns.
On COVID,
No, you're not being forced. You're not being forced.
On
but-
COVID, I think we're on step 7.
Right.
Now the COVID passports is kind of
I
like
mean,
identify yourself. Are you?
So let's
Are
talk.
you the virus?
So the conversation we're having before was about obviously January 6th they put out this list of a bunch of people, including Trump activists. But when you think about it in terms of the vaccine, this list is scary. I mean, for one, us and them. Oh yeah, they keep going on TV saying that all of this is the fault of the people who aren't vaccinated. People are forced to identify themselves. Yes, they're mandating that you reveal your identification at buildings. People are facing systematic discrimination. Yeah, you can't go into buildings. People are equated with animals, vermin, or diseases. Horse medicine. They're talking about people who are taking ivermectin, not FDA approved for use in COVID, mind you, but they're equating it with animal. The government creates specific groups, police and military, to enforce the policies. Are we there yet? Is that happening? Is there a specific group that's been created for this?
Well, the Capitol Police has been expanded.
But that's more
true,
MAGA stuff.
yeah.
That's not vaccine-related stuff. They say the government broadcasts propaganda. Well, I mean, Fauci won't shut up. And then official action to remove and relocate people. I'll tell you this. I don't think we're there yet in terms of the vaccine, but you have various aspects of this across the board.
We got to be careful we don't play into this either, because the first one, us and them, I've noticed when I have conversations here and in general, I talk about them like they are the Biden crew or whatever, the deep state, whatever I'm feeding this. And if I keep talking, lazily acting like that, they're going to keep acting like, see, I just did it again. There is no they. It's us. We are humans on Earth together.
Yeah, Ian, that's utopian thinking.
Well, but if we don't go that direction, we're going to start dividing people. So
that's like saying if
gotta
I
choose.
if,
It's very
if,
easy
if I
to
don't
lead someone who's thinking in those terms. And you hear this. By the way, what you just said is, if you tune into MSNBC or CNN right now and you listen to how they talk about these medical mandates, they always use terms of we and us. We need to do this.
To
we
them.
need to do that. Right? It's always we. It's always us.
we need to make things harder for them. They've
Right.
said that
And it's
on
like,
TV.
well, who is we?
And look
in
at the
this
way they talk
situation?
about we.
Who are you?
What was the adjective we kept using in Alaska when they talked about the crowd who was at Obama's birthday party? How they described
Sophisticated.
themselves. We are
Yes.
We're
sophisticated.
sophisticated.
We're a sophisticated, vaccinated class, right? That's why there was no concern about that party. It was a We are the enlightened ones. We're the smart ones. We are. Bill Maher made this 5, 6, well, maybe it was about a year and a half ago on one of his monologues where he talked about Middle America. Right? We have Wolfgang Puck. They have Chef Boyardee.
Oh, yeah, I
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We have this. They have that. They're envious of us. So I appreciate what you're saying from the humanitarian perspective. I wish we were a we, but I fear that if I don't have a they versus us, they're going to kill me. Like they talk about me, what they're doing to you with this January 6th commission right now. They have complete desire to eradicate me from the political space, from the discourse space, from what I do for a living. And so if I don't put up boundaries, they're coming after
And
me.
remember, what we've also seen that's going on, and this is something that I'm going to get into if they want to pursue this with me, is they will set up operations, and we've seen this in the past. We've seen this even just last year, where the federal government and the FBI will use a system of informants and plants that will go into various groups, these sort of like edge case groups, Discord chats, Facebook groups, and then they will become accelerants. So they will accelerate what's going on. They will become accelerationists for that specific unit, that specific group of people, whether it's a militia or something. And we are going to get onto all of that, Nancy Pelosi. I want to find Nancy Pelosi's personal communications that were members of these militias. I want to go after all the communications that her and her staff have had with Stuart Rhodes and the Oath Keepers.
I want
you know what,
to make a point to wrap up what Ian said. There's only one thing you need to understand to understand, so you know that this is just not correct. Go tell the Taliban what you just said. Go walk up to them outside of the airport in Kabul and say, we're all in this together. There's no us and them, and see how they treat you.
Well, sometimes it works.
No,
I've been in
come on,
situations where I don't even speak the language, but as long as you vibe with them, you are one of them.
You're going to vibe with the Taliban?
I don't know. You could.
They're walking around with guns. They're beating people in the streets.
That's kind of a fantasy because I don't know them. I've never seen a person that identifies as Taliban.
All
I've seen is propaganda.
I've met Taliban.
I think
members.
going to what you're saying,
their vibe is, how much of the Quran do you have memorized? Their vibe is, do you perform zakat? Are you praying 5 times a day?
And you're an American. It doesn't matter.
I like the Quran, though. It's
you
interesting.
Have you
I mean,
submitted to Islam? Right.
Right.
Yes and no, but it doesn't matter. And if you're an American right now, then you're immediate like.
there are situations.
Practice some Russian if you're over
where
there.
there are situations
Why did
where
they beat that Australian guy? There was an Australian guy just walking to the airport, and they just started beating him. Why would they do that?
I don't know. But
it's just us, right?
I see partly what you're saying because there are situations where it can become so volatile that if you insert yourself, you'll be destroyed in a moment. But
what do you think is happening
but
when
we
they
can
put
also
together
create
a
that
list
volatility.
of people?
This is part of that, creating that volatility. If we can also create that volatility if we want. So it's like you can acknowledge that it's there without propelling it.
Ignoring the problem won't make it stop.
No, I'm not saying to ignore it. I'm just saying don't feed
I'll
it.
put it this way: as a Catholic, I believe that that there is a heaven, and in that wonderful the new Eden, the new kingdom, that it will be us, and we will all be one, and we will all be together. But in this current moment, in this part of the movie that we're in right now, in what we're living through, what I am personally living through, when I look at my kids, when I put them to bed and think, is this the last time I'm going to see them because somebody's going to come knock on my door and take me away?
With CNN getting tipped off?
With CNN getting tipped off because of my opinions, right? I don't really have that luxury right now. But I do have my rosary, and I say that every day, but that's all I got.
You raised an interesting point, and I think this is where our system is rigged, and it is very messed up, in that you said, I'd love to see Nancy Pelosi's correspondence, but Congress is exempt. Right? Congress doesn't have to share their records. No one has the authority to ask for Nancy Pelosi's records. Now, she has the authority to ask for the president's records. I find that a huge flaw with our problem, right? FOIA does not exist in the judicial, in the legislative branch. You can't ask your senator, your congressman.
I'll get them.
Well, if someone leaks them,
I'll get them.
But my point is that you don't have she has tools.
She doesn't know how far my network goes. I'm going to get
That's
them.
not what I'm saying. I'm saying that legally she has tools.
I see what you're saying.
You don't.
Right.
We don't. And not everyone is Jack Posobiec.
But Daniel, these are better men.
That's not. Well,
They're
exactly.
so sophisticated. Though,
Yeah,
Daniel.
they are sophisticated.
They're so sophisticated. They're so much better
and
than
that
us
is a huge
every
problem
way.
with the way things are structured right now.